Hello everybody, it's Tom Sidener, the Lonely Gamer, and today we're going to look at another game that you can play by yourself if you're a lonely gamer, and that is XenoShyft by Cool Mini or Not. So XenoShyft is pretty much a tower defense game. You are actually trying to protect your base, which is represented by this little dial here, and you have to survive through 9 levels of onslaught by the alien creatures, and if you actually survive through 9 levels, you win the game. Now I'm going to start by telling you this is an extremely hard game. I've played this game like 20 times and I've never won. Not 1 in 20 times. I don't know if it's because I'm just really bad at it or if it's just that hard of a game. But I will say there is a little bit of a reward to playing the game, because I've noticed that as I play, I've been getting farther and farther down this track. So I have the thought in my head that eventually I might win this game. For now, I'm just enjoying the reward of moving farther down the track and saving my base for a little longer of a time. So let's talk a little bit about how you set up this game. The setup's pretty straightforward. The first thing you do is every player gets one of these tracks. This is the alien track, and this is your reinforcements track. So you're going to lay them down like this, and your troops are going to be moving from this way, and your aliens are going to move from here this way. And so they're going to collide in the middle, and they're going to combat each other. The next thing you need to do is set your base, and your base will be set at 15 points per player. So since I'm playing the solo game, I've got that set at 15 points. Then you're going to set up all your troops right here, and there are actually pictures on here that represent the different troops, and so you just go into the box, you find the troops that are represented by that picture. I'm not sure why they didn't put the name on it. Maybe they figured down the road they might have troops with the same picture but different names. So there's no names on this, but the picture matches, and you just set up your different troops on here. All the troops in the box fit on this board. There are no extra troops in the box. Then you're going to set up your Xenothasm. So this is kind of the monetary item in the game, and there's 3 different levels. There's this one, which is a 1. There is a 3, and there is a 6. The way this board is set up is that things in this row here can only be purchased when you're in the first 3 levels. And then this row here, these can only be purchased when you're in the next 3 levels, 4, 5, and 6. And then this row here can only be purchased when you're in the next 3 levels, 7, 8, and 9. So they kind of divide what you can buy up into whatever level you're in the defense area. After you've got that set up, then you go ahead and you set up your items market. And the items market, they have cards. And these cards are one for each item in the market. And another nice thing about these cards, one thing that I do like, if you look at these cards, you're going to see down here at the bottom, they've got that no down there at the bottom. That kind of is nice because it tells you when the item is empty in the stack. So if you look here, I've got these grenades here, and you can see that once all the cards are removed, then you've got this thing to tell you that the item in the stack is empty, so that you can't buy anymore. It's a lot nicer than trying to figure out, is there something there. And it also tells you what was in this stack, because sometimes when you burn cards you have to put them back. So what you do is you randomly select 9 cards from the 24. There's 24 of these that come in the game. You randomly select 9 cards from the 24. You lay down all their not cards, and then on top of them you stack the item cards. So you have 9 items for each game. You can change them from game to game, or what I've been doing is I've just been playing with the same items because I'm trying to learn which items are effective, so I just keep using the same items and trying to beat the game. The next thing you do is if you're playing the solo game, you take 1 boss and you put it in each of the wave stacks. If you're playing with more than, I think if it's more than 2 player, then you put 2 boss in each of the wave stacks. You shuffle them up, and these will be the waves of aliens that you have to fight during each round. So this is wave 1, which gets fought in the first 3 rounds. This is wave 2, which gets fought in the next 3 rounds. And this is wave 3, which gets fought in the final 3 rounds. Now, these monsters get exponentially harder as you go through. So the first one's not too bad, even though because your military is not as strong, they beat you up pretty bad. But as you go to the next round, your military gets stronger, but the monsters get stronger, and they still beat you up pretty bad. So it's a game where you're getting nailed a lot from the enemy. So they also provide these tokens to keep track of different stuff, like things that you can do on your turn and everything, the blue ones. And then they also provide these red tokens, which help you keep track of damage. Also, each player gets their starting hands of cards. Each player gets 6 of these XenoShyft, alright? And they also get 4 of the militia. So these are like the low-end military. I know you can't see it very well in the thing, but they've got 2 attack and they've got 1 life on them. And so you get 4 of these and 6 of these to make up your basic hand. And then you also randomly take a location card. So the location that I've been playing is the command center, and it will also give you something at the start of the game. So this gives me 2 items from the item deck that are 3 or under in cost, and it also gives you something during each phase. So in the first phase, I get to buy something for 1 less in each of the rounds in the first phase, and then in the second phase, I get to draw an extra card, and in the third phase, I can kill 1 revealed enemy. If I do, the base suffers 4 damage. So you take your location card. This location card is going to let me take a couple items from the market as long as they are 3 or less. So I'm going to take these 2 items. I'm going to put those in my deck. Then you shuffle up your deck and you draw 6 cards. So this game is a little different than other games in the fact that when you buy things from the market, you do not put them in your discard pile like you do in most deck builders. But when you buy things in this game, you actually put them in your hand and you can use them for that round. So the first thing you do on your round is you take a XenoShyft card and you take one that's based on the round you're in. So I would take a 1 since we're in round 1, which is in the first 3. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to spin your XenoShyft, and I know that I can, because of my location, I can spin 1 less, so I'm going to spin 2 XenoShyft. They go into my discard pile, and I'm going to buy an armor for 1 of my troops. The next thing you're going to do after you're done with your buy phase is you're going to go into your deploy phase where you're going to deploy your troops. So I'm going to pick my troops. So I'm going to take all of my militia that I have in my hand and I'm going to put them out. I can put up to 4 troops into my line. This is called your line. And then I'm going to put some equipment on them. So I'm going to go ahead and put the armor on this guy, and I'll just put the weapon on this guy too. I don't know if this is a great strategy. Don't use this video for strategies on how to beat this game, because I've never beat this game, so my strategies are not good. But I'm going to go ahead and put these items on this guy. So now I have a line of military ready to go. So the next thing I do is I go ahead and I put out the aliens. So I'm in wave 1, level 1, so I'm going to put out 4 aliens into this side. Okay, so once you've got everything out there, then you go into the combat phase where you're going to actually take your guys and slam them against each other. There's also an advanced phase that's in there too, but it kind of works in tandem. So the first thing you do is you reveal the monster or the alien, and then you read what it says on the card. So this one says, each time the enemy kills a troop, deal the base 1 damage. So it does not have a reveal, so I don't have to do something now, but something's going to happen if he kills a person. So Once I've got the enemy revealed, then we combat. So my guy, because of his weapon, has 3 damage, and because of his armor, he has 3 life. And this alien has 2 damage and 2 life. So we're going to combat. I'm going to do 3 damage, and he's going to do 2 damage. The damage gets applied simultaneously, so I'm going to take 2 damage from him and put him on my soldier, so my soldier is down to 1 life. And also this one is going to take 3 damage from my soldier, and so this one is going to die. So he did not kill a soldier, and so he doesn't damage the base. He gets discarded. There's no alien in this area, so we go to the advancement phase where everything moves down. My weapon also says that when this trooper attacks, it may deal 1 additional damage to another unit. So I'm going to go ahead and put a damage on this unit. Anytime you put a damage on a unit, it automatically gets revealed. So I'm going to reveal this. And this one says, each time the enemy kills a troop, burn that troop, and then search the wave 1 encounter deck for 1 gatherer card and place it at the end of the line. So if this guy kills a troop, he gets to add another troop. So now that I have an enemy that's there to confront, we're going to fight. This guy is going to apply his damage, which is going to be 2 damage to my soldier. My soldier is going to apply 3 damage to this guy, which normally would not be able to kill him, but he has the extra damage from his weapon. So this guy is going to die also. I'm also going to use my weapon again, which says I get to do an additional damage. So I'm going to put a damage on this guy. Since I put a damage on this guy, I'm supposed to reveal him, so I'm going to reveal him and make sure he doesn't have any reveal effects. He does not. This guy is going to die. He's going to go to the discard pile. My guy is going to die. He is also going to go to my discard pile, along with all his weapons. Now, he also has this armor, and this armor says that when this guy dies, he gets to do a damage to somebody. So he's going to do a damage to somebody in the line, but I didn't notice, and this is important, this guy only has 1 damage. So when this guy did his extra damage with the weapon and I revealed it, this guy would immediately die. Now, this guy is going to die and do the damage from his armor, and so I'm going to put a damage here. I'm going to reveal this. He does not have a reveal thing on his card, and also he's 2 life, so he's still alive. But my guy dies. He goes to my discard pile. And now we go into the advancement phase. Everybody moves over. And then we go into combat again. So it's combat, advancement, revealing enemies, doing any reveal cost that's on the enemy, and then, moving forward. So it's kind of a hectic go back and forth. The goal is to have, enough men here to actually keep the aliens at bay. This is actually one of the best rounds that I've ever had in this game, because I'm probably going to have a couple guys left over when this is done, and I'm going to be able to carry those over to the next round. I did miss one thing. That one alien said I had to get a gatherer if he killed a troop, and he did, so I would look through the thing here. I'm going to grab a gatherer. I lay it down. It's going to be face up because it was revealed from the deck. It doesn't have any reveal cost. And we move on to the next round. So this one says if an enemy kills a troop or deals the base damage, the next time you would draw cards, you would draw 1 less. So on your next turn, you'll draw 1 less. So these guys are going to combat. He's going to do 2 damage to this guy, which is definitely going to kill him because he only has 1 life left. And this guy is going to do 2 damage, which is going to kill him. So they're both going to go. So this guy goes to my discard pile, and this guy goes to this discard pile. We're going to move up. He did kill one of my troops, so on my next hand, I have to remember to only draw 5 cards. We're going to combat again. This says that each time this enemy kills a troop, deals 1 to your base. So these are both going to die. It's going to do 2 damage to him and 2 damage to him. He has 1 life. He has 2 life, so they're both going to die. But this guy is going to die, so I have to do 1 damage to my base. And I'm going to go from 15 to 14 on this dial. And that's going to end the round. Now, if the round ends with you having more troops than aliens, then this troop will stay here. On your next turn, you can move him around and put him in a different place, but but when you put out your troops, you're going to have one extra troop already in your lane. Now, if for some reason you ended up with 4 really good troops and you don't want this one, you could discard this one. But most of the time you're not. Most of the time you've got 2 or 3 troops that you can put out, so you're going to want to keep your troops from time to time. This was a really good round. More likely than not, you're going to end up with no troops and extra aliens. And if that happens, then you go into a phase called overrun, where you're overrun by the aliens, and then those aliens that are still in your track will do damage to your base. So if this was the way the round ended, then 4 damage, because both of these do 2 damage, 4 damage would actually go to my base, and then these would get discarded. So after they overrun your base, you discard them. At the end of the round, you do any cleanup that needs to be done, and then you go into the next round. And the next round, you're going to draw cards, which I'm only going to draw 5 because of that alien. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One thing that's easy to forget is you take a XenoShyft. You move the track down 1. You actually move the track down before you take the XenoShyft, because if you were moving into this level, you would take a level 3 XenoShyft. Use your cards to buy things. I have nothing but XenoShyft in this, so I could actually buy some cards with that. So I'd spend 2 to buy a Ranger, which is a better troop. I would spend 2 more to buy a Ranger, which is a better troop. And then I would spend 2 plus the 1 I get from my location to actually buy something for 3. And I would buy some armor. And then I would set out my troops in my line. I'm going to put the armor on this guy, just like this. And then we're ready to go into the next round. We'll put out our enemies. So we're going to get 4 new enemies. I still had the guy left over from last time. I should not have put him in the discard pile, so let's put him back out there. So now in this round, I have 3 troops to take on 4 enemies. And it goes this way until you get to 9, and if you get to 9, you win the game. Like I said, I've not won the game, but I've made it pretty far. So I'm getting farther and farther every time, so there is a little bit of, goal in that, trying to get as far as you can. A couple other things that you're going to run into. First of all, these XenoShyft let you trade them in. So once you get to the second phase, which is when you get to the 4th round and above, you can actually trade in any XenoShyft that are in your discard pile, 3 for 3. So I could trade in 3 XenoShyft that are in my discard pile and take a 3 XenoShyft and put it on top of my discard pile. You don't get to put it in your hand. You have to put it on top of your discard pile. And then the same thing happens after you get to the 7th round. If you make it to the 7th round, you can trade in your 3s for 6s. So it does have a little way to actually get better XenoShyft cards, because if you just had a handful of 1s by the 7th round, you're not going to be able to buy hardly anything. Another thing that you'll run into in multiplayer game is you can actually put your troops in other people's lanes. So if you're playing with 4 players, each player is going to have an alien lane and a troop lane, and you can actually take your troops and put them in somebody else's lane. You can also put equipment on those troops in somebody else's lane. Once you do that, though, those cards become that person's cards, so when they get discarded, they do not come back to you. They actually get discarded to the player where you played them. And another thing is you kind of limit the amount of troops you're going to have if you put all the troops out to other players. There are instant cards in the game, like this is a grenade. This grenade does 3 damage to aliens, so you can play these at any time. So let's say I revealed this guy and I saw that he had 3 damage. I could say, before we even combat and before he does any damage to my guy, I could say, I am playing this grenade, discard it, do 3 damage to this guy, and just throw him away before he even has a chance to do any damage. Also, if you're playing a multiplayer game, you can actually do this on somebody else's turn. So if you're done with yours, you've wiped out all the aliens in your line, and you have this grenade card in your hand, the next person's taking their turn, you can be like, I'm grenading that alien, I'm going to kill it. So you can actually play instants on other people's turns, and you can actually provide troops and equipment to other people's turn. Now, if you provide the troops and equipment, you have to do it during the phase where everybody's putting out their troops. You can't change it after the fact. There might be some cards here that let you do that, but as a general rule, you cannot. That's it. You play through the game. If you actually manage to get to 9 and stop the aliens after the ninth round, you actually win the game, and hooray, you're a super trooper, because if you actually make it through the 9 rounds, you're really good, because this is a very, very, very tough game. Other than that, that's the game. So let's talk about what I dislike about the game. So the one thing that I really dislike about the game are the components. This is a game that's put out by Cool Mini or Not, and I really respect Cool Mini or Not. They have some of the best games. My favorite game of all time is Blood Rage. It supplanted my favorite game of all time, Lifeboats, just about a year ago. And I love that game, and the components in that game are top notch. I mean, just the best components that you can get. This game is definitely not of the component quality that I would expect from Cool Mini or Not. For one thing, this is not a cheap game. This game is usually about $50 online, and that's the discounted price. I mean, I actually was interested in this game for a long time, and that's why this video is so long coming, is that this game is super expensive for what you get. It's a card game, so really, it's kind of in the vein of Arctic Scavengers, which is about a $30 game. So I mean, you're paying a lot of extra for this game. So I kind of held off for a long time. I finally did get it for $30 on Amazon Prime Day, and so that's why it took me so long to review it. But some of the things in this game, these lanes, these are like paper. I mean, this is terrible quality. Now, I played with a guy who kickstarted this game, and he had a lot nicer components in the Kickstarter version, but this retail version, I was very disappointed. Look at that. That is very flimsy, and all of these boards are made of the same thing. This board and this board, they're all flimsy paper. I could print this out on my printer and have this kind of quality. The really bad thing is that when you're doing these lanes, you're constantly moving soldiers this way and aliens this way, and here's what happens when you try to move these lanes. These actually are so thin that they actually want to go underneath or on top of each other, so you're constantly moving these in, and that is terrible. I'm actually thinking about actually taping mine together. These things are actually very slippery, so the cards kind of slide around on them, and the cards are very slippery, so the cards slide around a lot, so you're constantly having things kind of slide from one deck to another and overlap each other. That's very annoying. These, and these as well, would have been great if they would have used like a mouse pad type material for these. That would have been wonderful. I mean, you could have just had one big board that had these on the side. It's a 4-player game, so you could have one on each side. That does kind of limit where people sit, and that kind of annoys me sometimes because we don't always sit 4 around. We have a huge long table, and sometimes we don't have people sitting 4 around. But the quality of these are really bad. The best quality thing in the game is this. This is how you keep track of your base, the totals. It's got 2 dials on it, and you can set it to different numbers. And this thing is high quality. Look at that. That thing's thick and sturdy, and the dials are stiff, and they stay where you put them. And yeah, very wonderful, solid thing. The only thing in the game that's fairly good. These are okay. These are pretty good. I like these better than cardboard chips. They're plastic, and so they're a little easier to pick up off the table. So I have to give them a little plus on these. The cards are above average quality. I mean, they're probably, I've seen a lot worse cards. They're very slick. I think for this game, when you're stacking a lot of stuff, they should have used one of the textured type cards so they don't move around as much, because these are really slick and they slide on each other. But the actual printing and it looks like the stuff will hold up pretty well. They kind of remind me of the cards from Legendary, kind of that quality card. So above average card, but these things really bad, really, really bad. The things I like about the game is that the gameplay is very, very solid. I think they spent a lot of time testing this. The gameplay is solid, it's easy to understand, it makes sense, everything is logical when you do it. The armors actually make sense as armors, the weapons make sense as weapons, and the devices which a lot of the devices are instants, make sense as an instant. You're going to throw a grenade. You can throw it in front of you, you can throw it in front of somebody else. The armor gives you health. The weapons give you attack. So everything in the game makes sense, and the gameplay, though it's really hard, is quality. It's a quality game. So for gameplay, I would give it 2 thumbs up. Very fun game, fun to play. For the quality of the components, I give it 2 thumbs down. I hope maybe they'll come out with a new version that has something besides these, or at least allow you to buy the the better ones that the Kickstarter's got. For the price, though, the quality's not there for the price. So that's it. Hope you like this video. If you like a solid game, give this a try. If you don't care about the components, otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, and happy gaming!